What is it doing? Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today we have with us Sarah Stray, Boxless Coaching. She is an Akashic Records healer and soul recalibration coach who guides clients to awaken inner wisdom. If you're a liminal space, if you're in a liminal space, sorry, sensing a becoming that feels elusive, her works clear ancestral trauma, karma, beliefs, and patterns so that clarity flows and inner knowing leads. And I absolutely love this last sentence. Sarah guides you to a future your soul already remembers. Hello, Sarah. How are you today?
Hi, I'm having a great morning.
Well, that is awesome. And I am super excited about this conversation because the Akashic
Me
Records
too.
is oh my gosh, because people are always saying to me, Tammy, you have to have your records. Like you have to talk to someone that does Akashic Records. You have to. And it's literally come up probably 50 times in the last 3 months. So
50
yeah,
times?
every other
Oh my
day.
gosh, Tammy. Well, the Akashic Records, nothing is ever coincidental, right? I mean, it's like they're pounding on your door asking.
And that's what the feeling that I get. And everybody, and
Yeah.
it seems like everybody that I deal with that deals with any kind of energy or any kind of
hmm
spiritual stuff or any kind of healing, the first question they've been asking me lately is, have you had your Akashic records read?
Oh,
So
wow.
clearly
Yeah,
you and I
that
are going to
means
have to chat.
that means you need it.
Yeah, yeah. So clearly they're seeing some things that I am not, or that I am clearly not aware of. But anyway, I'm just going to jump right in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your story will be sprayed all throughout this. So I'm going to just start asking questions because I
Great.
feel like the listeners are going to learn so much from this. So, first of all, let's just start. And please feel free to add your story in
Yes.
throughout all of this because we want to know how you got here doing what you do and all
hmm
that good stuff. So, what are Akashic records?
So the Akashic Records, the way that most people have heard of them and they know like the metaphor. They're the library of your soul, right? In all of the different religious texts and traditions, there's like the book of life, all of these references to information being housed and stored. And so that's an apt kind of way for our brains to understand it. So it's part of the quantum field, which is that's where the infinite possibility of everything lies. And it's like the information arm of source. And so stored in that is every everything your soul has ever done or will do because they're outside of time and space. And so what
Right.
that means is you can literally ask anything. Like from like why do I always feel like I need to help everybody? Let's unpack that pattern because I'm exhausted. To like, what are my soul purposes? Like, nothing is too big or small or weird to ask in the Akashic Records. You're always going to receive an answer for your highest and best good. And it's an energy field too. And so just being there is so high vibrational that there's going to be immense healing that takes place.
Okay. So, is this how
Follow-up
you
questions? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, no, it does. And it's such a big and it's a confusing thing because first of all, some people go quantum like physics like no barrier of time and space and like some people that's a totally novel concept. I know I was doing a energy I do an energy frequency scan. It's like a voice scan for people.
hmm
And then
Yep.
I can literally send them the frequencies or send them
hmm
balancing harmonics and they're like, wait, you don't need me online to do it? I'm like, no, because
Nope.
there is no time and space. And if I'm sending
Yeah.
them to your profile, it knows your energetic profile. It's sending it to that energetic profile when you're in Tibet or Atlanta.
Right. Right.
And people are like,
Absolutely.
oh, I don't know. So
Yeah.
then it's funny. So we will test it. We'll do it like sending it that way. And then I'm like, okay, let's do one with your voice now. And it's usually pretty similar. And of course, it's a moment in time. So
hmm
their mind shift has changed from the time they do it to the time I do the next
Yeah.
one because now they maybe believe a little bit. And so, but it's just the whole thing is n- foreign to some people.
And that's a really good point because I think that once you awaken spiritually and are in the world of New Age woo, all of a sudden your vocabulary changes and you're like, yeah, in the quantum and this, that. And the other thing, and the thing I like about the Akashic Records is, you know, I have read for people who are building their own mystery schools, right? Which means they're teaching spiritual traditions to people that are not spiritual in their day-to-day life. And it really meets them where they are,
Right.
right? And so, the healing and the reading can go as deep as the person wants it to, but if they're not open to all of this, we're probably not going to talk about your like galactic lifetimes, right?
Right. 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 So how did you get into it? Did you get into it for your own healing, or is it just something you stumbled across?
Maybe both is the answer to that. I had a pretty traditional life of happiness for many years, was in the not-for-profit world, loved it, had some great experiences. Have I always had kind of the talking in the language of energy and clear knowing? Yes, absolutely. I've always been a guide. I've always been a coach for people, if not in, kind of overt business, what I do. And so I was a recipient of energy healing for many, many years. It's absolutely one of the tools that I used in my own life. And so I think in the background, I was opening slowly, slowly, slowly over time. So when I came to my kind of classic, oh, I burned out hard, um, just which is not uncommon in the not-for-profit world and with people that are
Right.
empaths and energetically sensitive, but maybe are not consciously aware of that. Um, and so in my burnout recovery, I absolutely kind of was already relying hard on energy healings. Um, and would you like the little beautiful story of it? Because
Yes.
there was some magic divine synchronicities in that I was working with a biofield tuner, so great modality for people that don't know, kind of those harmonics and vibrations you were talking about. It's the tuning forks, but a very gifted healer. And we had, for a couple of sessions, been like, I want to say like sensing weird stuff. It was like she was trying to understand. There was like an energy coming in that she did not understand. And so that happened a couple of sessions. And finally I just said, I'm curious enough. Like, let's open to it. And it was my Nana who had passed when I was in my young 20s. Um, and we were like, whoa. I wear a ring that she gave me every day. I handed it to the practitioner afterwards. I was like, just hold this. And she was like, oh my God, it's the exact same energy that I was feeling. So this happened a couple of times. And then finally, during one of the sessions, my practitioner was like, Sarah, I am getting this so hard. I've never said these words. I've never said something directly to anybody, but she's like, your Nana literally wants me to repeat the words, you are a light worker. And of course, I like started crying buckets. I'm like, of course I am. How could I have not known that? Right. And so there was a
Right.
very, very beautiful conscious moment that I think allowed me to keep saying yes and step onto this path of accepting my role as a healer and light worker.
Hmm.
Um, and then from there, I had another kind of moment of dabbling in a few things. And then I had a quantum healing hypnosis, which was even more opening. And then I just knew it was the Akashic Records. I was working with an Oracle deck. I pulled a card and I just went, it's the Akashic Records. And from then on, I, it's been my modality ever since. Like
Wow.
yeah, yep.
So when you are dealing, so you're asking a person, so you're
Hmm.
just asking a person a question in like say a session or whatever, and the answers are just coming through you, kind of through you are the guide. So you are receiving the energy or the message and
Yeah.
giving it directly to them.
So I would say I am more of the channel.
That's what I
not
meant,
even the
actually.
guide. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um, so yes, for most sessions, a person will come with some questions prepared or a situation, right? Just what's the thing going on in your life you're curious about or don't understand or feel blocked about. Um, and then, yes, I hear the record keepers, not so much clairaudiently, like I don't hear voices or anything, but get a lot of visual information and I get a lot of clear knowing and a lot of feelings. And I absolutely just say what they are telling me. Um, but because I've been trained, and maybe this is an important thing for your audience because I know that you have a lot of people that follow you that have deep trauma. One of the things I love about the Akashic Records is you never relive trauma. So if we're talking about something, this has happened that some people come and we don't realize that we're going to kind of go back to something they thought they've overcome. The Akashic record keepers are never going to have you remember viscerally past trauma, right?
okay.
And if they start to say something or I start to see something, like if I see that your head got chopped off in a past life, I'm not going to say your head got chopped off in a past life.
Right.
Right? So sometimes I'm in constant communication with the record keepers in a way where I say, I need you to rephrase that. What exactly do I tell this client that's going to
Yes.
help them? Because there is that protection, healing element of not reliving past trauma, whether it's this lifetime or past lifetime. Does that make sense?
Right. Oh no, absolutely. And that's, I think, very, like you said, very important for especially my audience who
Yeah.
has gone through a lot of trauma because yeah, a lot of them black out things and they don't remember things and
Mm,
they have done that as a protective
mm,
mechanism. So the last thing they want to be
absolutely.
doing is to be in this nice little cozy session with someone and all of a sudden they're ultra triggered and and
Yeah.
obviously with your training and that's what I mean, obviously with your training you are sensitive to that. Your filter has become very selective as far as right?
And I would say that there's also a self filter of instinct for before a client even gets to me, right?
Mm,
Like you've been getting a message from the universe that you need an Akashic healing. Like people will find me at the exact right timing that they're ready to have a healing. And if they're
mm.
not ready to go into something, their Akashic record keepers already know that. Like that's how deep my trust is in the modality and the process. Nothing is
Mm.
going to happen in a session that isn't for your highest and best good in that moment.
And that's I was going to go back to those exact words, the highest and
Yeah.
best good, because it's the
Yep.
same thing with Reiki and it's the same
Yes.
thing with all of these different healing modalities. It
Yes.
is from the universe your highest and best good intentionally. Like you go at it with intention and it's never, 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 never to
No.
harm or to
No,
upset.
there's literally no harm that can come from an Akashic record healing.
Right. So how would you think, say, for people that have heard of Reiki
Yeah.
and like all these other modalities, how does it kind of set itself aside apart or different?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it is, it's got that outside of time and space thing that we talked about. And it's a little bit more like a conversation than a passive receiving of energy. So it's not like you're just going to lay there and talk and receive. It's more like a three-way conversation between myself and the client and their Akashic record keepers. Um, and the thing that I love that's maybe a little different than other energetic healings is it's going to go to the root cause of what really the issue is that's going on. And so the thing that, and again, it's one of those you can either come in believing this fully or not so much, and either is okay. Um, but a lot of the root causes of things did not start in our lifetimes, right? There's ancestral inherited trauma that shows up, and there's past life inherited or past life trauma that shows up. Um, or in this life, it's maybe the core belief you have of not being enough actually has nothing to do with you. And that was a pattern that one of your parents or somebody in your house was running, and you picked it up energetically. And so it's different in that rather than just sending you the good vibes to heal yourself, we actually go back to the root of what the bigger pattern or block or constriction is, and heal it. It like including karma.
Mm,
Um, which is pretty so its ability to really get in there and lift is, and that can be done in an instant. So that's kind of different than a lot of other kind of like Reiki or even a traditional past life regression, because the Akasha is going to get you to the deep, deep roots of it.
right. And I was going to say there is a lot, a lot of modalities that take you there slowly, like you said, the past life, or even going to just a general trauma coach is going to do the timeline therapy and bring you back. They're only bringing you back so much.
And I have to say that I myself have gone through phases of working with some amazing therapists who were so helpful to me in kind of just getting through some life phases that didn't feel so
Mhm.
great. Um, and even some untraditional therapy modalities like internal family systems, which I love.
I love.
And um, I have started to find the relational model of parts work not enough, because it keeps you in that narrative talking to that part. And if that part doesn't belong to you, right? Then there's no amount of talking to it that can do the quick, in the quantum instant healing
Right.
if it's from past lives or something else. And so what I was leading up to is, you know, something that I pretty much worked on, I don't know, a year and a half or two in therapy. I At my Akashic Records conference, so I go with all the other practitioners that learned from my same teacher. I asked this question that I'd been working on in therapy, and it got healed and lifted in like 15 minutes. I was like, oh, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's crazy.
It's
That
huge. It's
yeah,
life
that is
changing. Yeah.
it is. Absolutely. And now I'm going to have to come get some of your readings, right?
I would
Because
welcome that and
I would
love it.
absolutely. Um so I guess so in the a session per se, say
Mhm.
your session. So you're having these the universe or whatever be the
Yeah.
guide. The guide is sending the message through you to tell them, and then the healing is a release, or something is it something verbal that you just do and it to release?
Yeah, it really depends on what the person needs. So the person's record keepers is what we call the light beings who hold the Akashic records. So you'll
Right.
hear me use that phrasing a lot. Um, I will say, can this be cleared? Right? And they'll say yes or no. Very rarely is it a no, but if it's something that the person is still learning karmically, it might be a not yet. Right?
Okay. Hmm.
Um, and need the client's consent to clear it. And that can happen through a visualization. So I'm literally seeing something, and the record keepers are saying, walk the person through this visualization. And I actually love that because in a way, it's not needed, because I could just say, hey, can you clear this? And they say yes. And then it's cleared. But I find, because we're still walking around with our brains in
Right.
our, the patterns we're all used to, that is a little woo for most people. And so I think the Akashic Record Keepers also give the visualizations so that it anchors in your mind, so that it gets beyond the layer of belief, so that it's been cleared.
Right. That
Um,
makes total sense.
yes.
That
And there's also some Akashic healing prayers that I use. Or sometimes I'm just directly channeling the words. Sometimes it's important that the client says something, right? Especially if it has to do with throat chakras restrictions and like reclaiming your voice, then the record keepers might say, can you find the words to articulate this? That happens sometimes too, which is kind of fun.
So this is another kind of off the wall kind of questions. And then I
That's all
want to go
right.
back and ask you about the title of your coaching business, which I think is really cool.
I know, it's fun,
And I
right?
don't understand where it came from. So you're going to tell us that. But do you, as a spiritual healer, I know you're an empath and I know that you've been
hmm
absorbing all these energies from people all over the world all the time, everybody you probably come into contact with. Do you, and this is kind of off topic, but it's
That's
personal.
right.
Do you find like if you're sitting here, like let's say you're on a podcast with me, are you
Mhm.
getting downloads about me the whole time?
No. And that
Interesting.
is one of the things. Well, okay, let me answer that in a no and a yes.
Okay.
So, no, because I have not gotten consent,
Mm,
I can't open your Akashic records, right? So
okay.
I'm not walking around the world getting downloads. Now, that said, you must know, like, as you become a spiritual healer, your own energy vibration raises exponentially, and you live in that and you protect your energy every
Right.
day so that as you're moving through the world, your clear channel is is clear, right? And
Right.
so with that, am I attuned way more than I ever used to be? Yes. And the way that I hear that is in language, right? So I don't know if it was in my bio, but in my Instagram, it says I'm a word weaver, right? So I love writing and finding the exact right coin of phrase that's going to help someone. And sometimes that's channeled, or sometimes it just comes from me, Sarah.
Mhm.
Um, and so oftentimes in conversation with people, because I also do longer coaching containers that blends Akashic work with coaching, I can hear by the turn of phrase and like word choice that a client makes if there's something sticky there or not,
Mm,
right? Like, and
yeah.
that's more of the clear knowing. I just I just know.
Yeah. No, and it's because yes, you're so open energetically and intuitively
Yeah.
that yeah. That's interesting. I was just curious
Yeah.
about that. I thought how exhausting for you. But it does make sense that you really
Yeah.
can't, just like Reiki, I have to get consent. Like you have to get consent in
Absolutely you
order.
do. Yep.
Yes. So
Yep.
yeah, that makes
Um
total sense.
yeah, so I'm not walking around exhausted. Actually, it's quite the opposite, it's quite easy to give a
Ener-
reading, quite fun, quite energizing. We're connected during the session, and then as soon as the person's records are closed, it's done, it's over, and it doesn't drain you
Doesn't
energetically.
drain you.
No, not at
That's
all.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, and I'm happy for you for that. So you can continue to do this work,
Yes.
not be another form of burnout, where you're just walking around with
No,
it.
the only thing I'm doing lately that is burning me out is watching season 3 of The Diplomat way, way too late at night. And that's it.
Oh, that's if that's your worst thing that you do. I know my husband's got us on some like cops and robbers mafia type movie and
Oh,
we wanted to catch up to where it was, but we literally like binged watched like 3 seasons
yeah.
to catch up because it was new and I was like, oh my goodness.
And the other thing, I don't know if this has happened to you sensitive wise, but I am no longer really able to watch anything TV wise that has like any form of violence or, you know, o- or I want to say darkness. I don't know why that word is coming to me. Um, yeah, I just like I can't handle it energetically anymore.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's very different.
And I
So,
feel like I'm just the opposite. I want solutions to everything. So like I will
mm,
literally wish I could skip through all the violence and just get to the happy ending at the end of
yeah,
each season or at the end of
yeah,
each episode because I know it's
yeah,
there. So I'm like,
yeah.
oh, that's a problem. How are they going to fix it? And I'm like, in my head, I've come up with like 92 different things that they needed to do, and then at the end, I'm like, well, that was easy. It's like I can't rest until I
Maybe
know
you
that
have a latent writer in you that should be just writing movies and like
I don't
weaving the
know, but
peaceful endings into it
I don't
all.
know. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm just like, come on, let's get to the good stuff. Like, stop all the
Yeah.
killing, stop all that bad stuff, and let's get to the
Yeah.
good stuff. But, okay, so I want to go back. Totally off topic, but,
That's right.
box
It's fun.
boxless coaching.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
In a way, it's it's one of those things where I don't know, you know how you know for years and years what you're going to name your child if it's like in your bones. So that is true of me, but so is this business name. Um, and it's almost a carryover from my old expertise, which was in like innovation pedagogy for youth. Like, and so innovation comes naturally to me. And so I always used to say like you cannot think outside the box unless you know where the box is, right?
Mm,
And that's a big thing in kind of innovation education. And so, in a way, it's part homage to me expanding my own box in life and taking a complete new path, right? Everybody
mm,
wants to live outside the box because they want to be free. They don't want to have
right,
constriction. And so really it's part metaphor, but also there's an energetic piece to it. What happens, if you're in a group coaching container of mine or a one-on-one client is we're not so much saying like, oh, you got to break out of your box. It's just, okay, let's understand what the patterns are that you've been running that and most
right.
people know
Mm-hmm.
um, at some level what they don't like about their inner monologues or their lives, right? And so looking at those patterns and those programs, and I also think that when you start talking in the language of conditioning, which again is maybe one of those new agey or woo words, but you know, we are trained from a very young age in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
school systems and a lot of like through no fault of our parents, just what the norms of the parenting were at
Right.
that time. And so we get conditioned in all of these belief structures that really aren't good for us. And so that's the box,
And
right?
you did that so gently for all those parents.
Well, I'm a parent myself, right? And
Yep.
have an amazing parent myself, right? But we can we can all have beliefs and patterns and conditioning, even if we had the most idyllic
Yeah.
upbringing, right?
Yeah.
And then if it's not idyllic, it's even heavier, right? Um, and so what we do is energetically expand that box, right? And so through Akashic work, your beliefs get healed. It's like you reach for a trigger and it's just not there anymore. So
Right.
that's what expanding the box is really about. Um,
Okay. And
yeah, and
that makes
yeah.
sense. Just energetically, just where your level of comfort is, in just
Mhm.
general. I mean, I've always been told that to kind of know where you're at and like what your comfort zone is, and then the more positive stuff you're bringing in, you're
Yep.
expanding that and you're giving more room for more information of any kind, really, but
Yeah, and
specifically
I
positive for
and I
me.
think I think too what also I'm starting to see more of is um so many people are kind of wanting to do what I did. Like they have a path that's calling them. They have something new or they want to shift something in their life. And it's not because they're like, "Oh, my life sucks and I'm in this little box." No. Very far from it. They're in an expansion phase, right? Which is
Right.
so beautiful. That's kind of that liminal
Mhm.
state part. Um, but a lot of people don't know how to navigate that themselves. And so that's part of the work I do at Boxless because that's all about how you can live boxlessly is like, you know,
I love that.
it's okay to shed what you thought your life was going to be like and change
Yeah,
it. Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So, for the people out there listening, let's say they
Yes.
want to get started a little bit on this journey and they want to
Hmm.
find out more and they want to, um, is it beneficial to do one session? Is there or does that help at all, or does that just get you primed for the real work?
um, it depends on what the person's kind of goals are. Um, if you are someone who is very self-aware and does a lot of kind of deep inner work normally, one session could be just what you need because you're kind of close and sense your blocks. I would say for most people though, multiple sessions, um, like a three pack is better because you
Okay.
can get deeper. Um, a lot of people get surprised about what comes up, right? Like they think they're going to ask a simple question about what's blocking my business, right? And it ends up being so much more than that. Um,
90, I'm sure probably 90%
yeah,
of the
and so, in one Akashic session, we can probably go deep on about three-ish questions.
Okay, that's what I was kind of
Right?
curious about.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, some people a little bit more. But most of the time it takes a while to get deep and in there and really get at the root of what they're asking. Um,
But I'm assuming one session would still be beneficial.
oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And I have
absolutely.
I
If
have
you
clients that come to me just for one session and maybe when something else pops up, then they'll come back. I have other questions that buy, multiple sessions. And then when you for somebody that's more in that I want to expand state, then the longer soul emergence container is gonna be better because then you're gonna get the Sarah intuitive guidance of like I understand you're still living your life in a practical world and that you need tools for that as well as the Akashic healings. And that more it's it keeps the thread lines
yeah,
really clear on what a person needs to move through.
right.
Um
And I'm assuming like I'm just picturing my own world. So for you to talk to me, so okay, this kind of stuff came up, it makes more sense to have one person kind of who can integrate it all than okay, so my Akashic record girl told me this, like running to a therapist going, okay, what do we, it just seems like
no.
it seemed to me, and I have nothing against therapy. I went for many, many years, but again, it was just never quite got to the root, to the deeper the
Yes.
stuff. But I was like, I don't want to keep
And,
talking about this. I don't want to keep talking about this.
and I would say for people who are like really acutely moving through trauma in real time, a therapist might be a
Amen.
complete better
Hmm.
choice, right? Because, you know, I'm trauma informed and I can talk to your record keepers and it's always going to come through in your highest and best good. But if a person is in true crisis mode, yeah, a therapist for a while is probably going to be a good, you know,
And, and that's the word I,
adjacent modality to this.
yes. And that's the word I was going to bring up is crisis mode. Like
Yeah,
if you're in a crisis mode, you go see your psychiatrist or whatever you need.
absolutely.
And, but yeah, and so how do you? I'm assuming you do all this remotely.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, okay, and tell us about how you run, how you work. I know you had a little free gift or something you wanted to share with people.
So I recorded something that it felt energetically was going to be nicely in tuned with your audience. And so it's a healing, probably about 15 minutes or so, called Heal Your Own Birth, the Unwanted Wound. And
Mm,
so anytime I do a group healing, which is also what you can do. So sometimes I do work locally and might host like a group clearing of some kind. You open the Akashic records of the group. You're not in people's individual records. But then it's like you're healing what the entire collective needs. Um, and this healing really came about, again, no coincidences. I had three clients in a row that they all needed birth healing for
mm,
different reasons. Um, and I know we talked about that kind of how the Akashic record keepers give like visualizations. It was all like variations of the same visualization that
mm,
each client needed, right? And so, you know, you're going to absorb energy before you are born, right? You're going to
right.
get that imprint of everything that your mother was feeling or the people around you. And so, especially for people who are adopted, right? Or, I had one client that just felt invisible and kind of didn't know why. Um, or was told, you're here to save my marriage. That's why you were born. So all of that leaves people with this unwanted wound. So we have a quick visualization that people can download, and I will send you that link, Tammy, and people can click right on it and then listen to the clearing.
Yes, I love that. And I think that's gonna hit home for a lot of people because I have a friend at work who just had a baby and she's like, I don't understand why like certain times like my baby is just angry and just all the time. And I'm like, do you know the stress that you went through? I mean, she's not with
Hmm.
the father anymore. They're divorced. It's
Hmm.
ugly, it's mean. I'm like,
Yeah, that's so
it could
hard.
be the same time that I'm like, what time was it? She's, I don't know, like 5 o'clock every night. Well, is that when your husband came home from work? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, good might be not a
Ooh,
coincidence.
listen to your intuition.
I was
Yeah.
like, literally, like,
Hmm.
I'm like, did you start walking on eggshells at 4:45 every day, waiting for him to come home to see how volatile the situation
Right,
was going to be? She's like, yeah. I'm like,
right.
your baby's
It's
on
like
that
she was
pattern.
bracing for his energetic
She was
onslaught.
bracing, yeah,
Yep,
and she was bracing for her husband, and the baby was bracing for mom because the
yep.
baby felt when
Hmm.
that
She felt that
eggshell thing.
energy. I don't know why. It was it a girl or a boy baby?
It was a girl
Or we don't
baby.
know. Yeah, okay. So um, yeah, she was feeling that too.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And
Mhm.
it's crazy. I mean, that's so real. So I love this. I absolutely love this.
Good.
So
I'm so glad.
next question is if people want to work with you, I'm going to put everything in the show notes. They'll be able to find you wherever, but what is
Yay.
the best, quickest place to find you?
I am on Instagram at Boxless Coaching. So all my stuff is there. And I often have a lot of like free invocations that just come through channeled. So it's a great place to get a little touch of Akashic healing. And then all of my service offerings are on boxless.cohere.live.
Okay. And that will go again. Everybody, if you're
Mhm.
driving, if you're listening, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the show notes. Grab that free 15-minute download or that 15-minute thing that you're giving. I
Clearing.
absolutely love
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
And then you're not off the hook yet, my
Then.
friend.
Oh,
Let
I could talk to you all day. I might need a
I
tea
know.
refresh, but I
I
don't want to
know.
be
I
off the
know.
hook. This is fun.
So I know, and I always try to. I'm a 30 to 45 minute podcaster because I'm like, I got about 45 minutes of energy, not energy, but of like tasks. I usually do 40,
Mm-hmm.
25 to 45 minute
Mm-hmm.
tasks. And then I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh, do I start another one and then sit in the car? Like, what do I do? So, um, if you had to give someone the big picture advice or words of wisdom
Oh,
or something
yeah.
tangible, what would it be to take with them? I try to make everybody's day a little brighter, a little more hopeful
Hmm.
at the end of every episode.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to tune in for a second because I actually have had my own Akashic Records open throughout this whole morning. So, one thing that happens is that we can, at the level of belief, seed a belief into our future timeline, right? A lot of New Age people talk about timelines, highest timelines, and timeline jumping, etc. And so, if you and your system have any kind of belief that healing is going to be hard, that it's going to take a long time, or that you're never going to get past your trauma, that is a belief that can be cleared. So I always like to say like there literally is no such thing as being stuck.
Mm, I love that. I absolutely love that because I just did an episode not too long ago with someone, and their whole phrase was stuck sucks. And it's just how bad it is. And that's what my thing is it's like, and that's what I coach my people.
You are not
You're
stuck.
not stuck. You're stuck as long as you allow yourself to be, but there are
Right.
so many tools, so many modalities.
And our souls want to express themselves in the highest way that we decided they would. Like everybody has all of these amazing different talents.
Hmm.
Um, and the more that you kind of can release all of those boxes or conditioning, it's it just gets easier because you're allowing kind of shining beauties of your own self to come through, right? It's a process of remembering who our souls are, really.
Absolutely. And just, I know I have people say to me all the time, I want to become a new person. I want to become a new me. No, just go back. You're going
It,
back to who you were
yeah,
born.
exactly. You're
Or
just
it might be
remembering your
three.
soul.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're just remembering your soul. You are not becoming a new person. You
Right.
are the person that other people told you you weren't. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
No, you're becoming yourself.
you're becoming yourself. And that's, and a lot of people, and a lot of the people in this audience, I know they, oh, I feel so selfish when I do things for myself, and I feel so selfish. And I always, just kind of say the
Hmm.
most, the best thing you can do is give yourself and the rest of the world the best of you. And
I love
it's
that.
to me, it's more selfish giving the world a bad version of me,
Yeah.
because that's
And
the energy I'm putting into the world.
so what I would do like on an Akashic level is like you might start clearing that with some compassion to yourself, right?
Right.
Um, you know, I'm so sorry you feel selfish. I'm so sorry it feels hard to really receive love. Like there's so much underneath that, right? And then we would ask, you know, what what is the root cause? Like what is that selfishness pattern, right?
Right.
Is there guilt underneath that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with, again, I always kind of steer it back to the group of people that would listen to a podcast called Adult Child of Dysfunction.
I know, right?
It is,
I
I
came
mean,
on for you, Tammy. Like, I'm an adult child of not dysfunction, but it still felt right to come on the
yeah,
podcast.
because that is the underlying message, is I'm not worthy, and there is shame and guilt, and it's a
God,
guilt spiral, a shame spiral, and
shame is
it's
so hard. And as women, we
uh,
have a lot more because we're in a patriarchy and we've absorbed and kind of moved away from the divine feminine. So there is a lot of shame for women to release.
yes, but it can be done. So for
Oh,
the
yeah.
people out there listening, it can be done. All of this, anything that is wired into your brain and keeping you away from your true soul, can be rewired and can be
Yes.
worked through and can be helped. So, oh my goodness, Sarah, so thank you so much for coming
You're
on.
welcome so much. Thank you for
Uh,
being you in the world.
oh, you as well. And I can't wait to get this out and to let people know about you and to share.
Yay.
So, guys, go ahead in the comments, whatever in the show notes, drop it down, get her free, whatever. Get everything she's got there. Grab it. And also, if you want to, start very super small, just to kind of experience some of the energetic things that are out there and frequencies and the quantum whatever, I'd also as well do a free voice scan. So if you want to go in the
Yeah.
voice in the show notes, that will be down there for scans for like 171,000 different frequencies, and it
Oh,
just doesn't,
I want to check that out.
yeah, it's not a, it's
Everything
not
is energy and frequency.
everything is, and it's not a diagnostic tool, but it just shows you kind of imbalances, and then I can
Yep.
send you some balancing harmonics. I mean, I've learned to live by it, and I love it. So grab either of those free gifts, everybody, and until
Beautiful.
then, and until you're back, you all have a very